When The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild came out, everyone was blown away because you could climb anything. Not only that, but for the first time in a 3D Zelda game, you could jump by pressing a button. You didn't need any items or special circumstances in order to jump anymore. When Breath of the Wild came out, I could not afford it. See, at the time I was a out-of-work jazz stenographer, so I couldn't afford the fancy new jumping and climbing Zelda game. So I just had to play Breath of the Wild in Ocarina of Time.
Yo, it's L.
I couldn't copy all the game mechanics from Breath of the Wild, like the whole your weapons break, because even when Breath of the Wild came out, the whole system that they had about your weapons breaking, it was bad. I mean, it was poorly designed, it was stupid, so I'm just not going to do that. Now, there actually is an item in this game that does break, the Giant's Knife. So I'm going to use that as a segue into the next portion of the video. Following that bad segue, here are the rules for the run. So the first rule is I cannot get the big Goron sword. I am allowed to get the Giant's Knife, but that thing breaks after a few hits and it is a $200 repair. So if I want to use it, it comes at a cost. Rule number 2, I cannot get heart pieces from minigames or side quest. Any heart pieces that are like in a chest or a container, basically that are out in the open in some way, I can just get. Number 3, I can still do minigames to receive rewards. I am allowed to play minigames to get equipment, upgrades, or if I'm broke, rupees. Rule 4, no Skulltula rewards besides the adult wallet. Technically, I could get the Rumble Pack, but no one gives a shit about that. Last rule, I can use any equipment regardless of age. For example, the iron boots as a kid. To be honest, this doesn't come into play very much. I will be using the boomerang a lot as an adult, but aside from that, it doesn't affect anything else. So another thing you could do in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom was dye your equipment's color. I can't do that, but I will be using custom tunic colors for this playthrough. The intro plays, and as you can see, Link is decked out in purple. I leave my house and I jump off the deck. Then I jump around town for a bit. Probably best to grab the Kokiri sword before I forget. I tried jumping the boulder, but I couldn't jump high enough. And now that the sword is mine, let's go climb some stuff. So I can climb this ledge here for some rupees, or this ledge behind the shop, where when you're an adult, there's a bunch of money up here. I jump up behind this house, climb this wall here, and make for the Lost Woods, on my way to Goron City. So I don't have bombs, but I can climb this wall here to enter. Climb up some more walls, making my way out to Death Mountain Trail. I jump over the fence, and I grab a heart piece. Then I make my way to Kakariko Village. With the sun setting, it makes my tunic look red, which is pretty cool. So I collect the chickens to make some wings. I can jump up to grab this one in front of the spider house, and I can climb up to grab the one by the windmill. And then I can climb this fence to get the one back here. I toss it over, then jump over, and I talk to Homegirl and I get the first bottle. Next, I climb into this house for the cow heart piece. Then I climb this house with a guy in the roof to get another heart piece. Lastly, I head into the windmill and grab another heart piece. Kakariko Village is done for now, except for the graveyard. You guessed it, there's another heart piece that I wanted to grab. I did try climbing the windmill too, but it doesn't seem like I could get on top. So whatever, I leave. I make my way to Hyrule Castle Town, but it's night and the drawbridge is up, so I can't get in. Well, normally I couldn't. But now I can climb the wall and sneak into town. I do have to go talk to Zelda, but I get caught right away. This spawns Malin out here and she gives me the egg. I sneak past the guards and I run around in this area until the chicken hatches. I use it to wake up Talon and I push the boxes to get into the castle. Instead of pushing both though, I'm in a rush, so I just push one and jump it off and make it in. To me, this looks pretty funny. I mean, I am the Spider-Man Sweater Man after all. Makes sense I roleplay as Spider-Man in some games now and then. All I need now is a Spider-Man tunic for Link. Like, the guards have to see me, right? There's no way Link's just invisible. He's dressed in purple, climbing a gray wall. This last part was weird because the camera didn't follow me, so I wasn't too sure where I was going. I did meet Zelda though. I watched the cutscene, then I turn around and Impa's here. Now I don't have the fairy ocarina, but the game will still teach me Zelda's lullaby. It does so by temporarily giving me the Ocarina of Time. The cutscene ends and we're outside. And in my inventory scene, it looks like I do have Zelda's lullaby. I reset to start back in Kokiri Village. Now that I'm back in town, I grab the Deku Shield and I head to the Deku Tree. Mido isn't here since I triggered the Zelda cutscene, and I collect some Deku Sticks, then start the next cutscene. Inside, I climb up and head into this room, as it leads to the slingshot. Outside the room, I can climb up the wall, and on the top floor, I can take out the spider and just jump down. In the basement, I can climb up this ledge, I hit the switch and burn the webbing, then I take out the guards and head into the boss room. The boss fight takes a single cycle, then the heart container's all mine, and I head out. Now this boring ass cutscene is over and I can leave the forest. Before I go though, Saria gives me the fairy ocarina. I stop by Lon Lon Ranch for a bottle of milk, a heart piece, and of course, Epona's song. Next stop is Zora's River, where I climb this wall to avoid the annoying ass owl. Being able to climb also gets me this heart piece, and it lets me get this other heart piece without needing to fly over. I got what I need and head into Zora's domain. Of course, I'm going to start with the heart piece, then I climb up the waterfall to talk to this Zora, play its little game in order to get the Zora scale. Oh, which reminds me, I need to go to Lake Hylia. I took a few seconds to get the second bottle. Also, I can't climb this house for whatever reason. There's a heart piece up there. I can get it as an adult, but as a kid, I can't seem to climb it. Back in Zora's domain, I grab a fish for later. I empty my bottle, and back in Lake Hylia, I take the owl to outside the castle town. With the fairy ocarina, I can now learn the sun song. And in the second room down here, I can easily jump over the poison pits. The song is mine and I head out. It's a long trek to the forest meadow, where I avoid the fight and climb this wall. Jumping makes getting across here so much easier, and I do stop by the fairy fountain to fill up on fairies. I finish up here and I learn Saria's song. I head back to Goron City to play the song for Darunia, and he rewards me with a friendship bracelet. I blow up the big rock in front of Dodongo's cavern. I jump the fence, land below, heal, and head in. I immediately climb this wall to get up to the top floor. Jump up this ledge to this chest, and the bombs are mine. I blow up the Dodongo's eyes and head further inside. In the last room here, I'm able to climb this ledge to get to this block. It makes opening the boss door a whole lot easier. The boss fight just goes normally. Climbing and jumping won't make this any faster. Afterwards though, I do climb back up just for fun, and I can leave. But I do go back for the heart container, watch the cutscene, get the next stone, and I'm off to Death Mountain. Well, after a quick detour to Goron City for a bomb bag upgrade. On Death Mountain Trail, I run backwards here to avoid the falling rocks. I enter the fairy fountain and get the magic meter. Quick layover in Death Mountain Crater where I can get a heart piece. Then I scale the wall and drop into the fairy fountain where I can upgrade my magic meter. All that volcanic heat really got to me, so I go inside a whale. I meet up with Princess Rudo and collect some Skulltulas. We continue, and in this room, I can throw her up onto the ledge and just climb up without having to activate the water and stuff. We head deeper into Jabu Jabu's belly because I need the boomerang. I take out these weird flying fish enemies, and I got the boomerang. I head back to the huge vertical room, and here I can climb this wall to the top to touch this ledge and have it come down. I can now bring Princess Rudo across to the next room. I use a box instead, just so I can bring her into the boss room. This here is the last room before the fight, so I just need to open the door. Okay, so this is pretty cool. Now, normally you would not have Princess Rudo at this part in the level. So I don't know what's gonna happen if I bring her into the boss room. I'm worried the game might just like freak out, it might just crash, it might soft lock me or something, but I'm really curious, so let's see what's gonna happen. Okay, now for the moment of truth. Just turns out she disappears for whatever reason. That was really anticlimactic, man. That sucked. Well, it's sort of like this boss fight. I mean, it's not hard, it just takes a while. But the boss is bested, and I get another heart container, and outside, Rudo gives me the last spiritual stone. However, I'm not really done with the area, because I need to enter the ice cavern. I wanted to come when I had bombs so I can take out these ice enemies. I load up on blue fire, get another heart piece, and I double check to make sure I have enough blue fire for the rest of the game. In the second last room, I can climb up these ledges to grab the rupees. The doorway is open, so I head through the last hallway. The boss gets taken out pretty easily. Then I collect the iron boots and head out. For the first and only time this run, I visit the spider house to get the adult wallet. Outside Kakariko Village, I trigger the Ocarina of Time cutscene. Zelda throws the ocarina and Ganondorf kills Link. I use the iron boots to get it, and I learn the Song of Time. Before we move on though, I do need to stop by Hyrule Castle, because there's a fairy fountain there and I need Din's Fire. Also, I went to Gerudo Valley for 2 heart pieces. The one on this ledge, and the one behind the waterfall. Oh man, for this next part, I really feel like I'm playing Breath of the Wild, because it takes me like a day to climb this valley. I mean, I can fast forward it, but it still takes forever. After that though, I can head into Gerudo Fortress. All I really need here for now is just this heart piece. I'm done the child section of the game, so it's time to grow up. Remember what I said about role-playing as Spider-Man? Well, I figure I don the black suit. Sheik talks for a little bit, then the cutscene is over. So, first things always first as Adult Link. Always race Stompa and get the hook shot. On the way out, learn the Song of Storms. Next, I usually stop the Rolling Goron for the red tunic. In this run, I'm going to stop by the Giant Goron to buy the Giant's Knife. I empty one of my blue fires to get the blue tunic. While I'm here, I stop by Zora's Fountain to jump across the ice for this heart piece. Then I sink to the bottom of the lake to grab another. Now let's go to the water temple for a bit. I start by meeting Princess Rudo and lowering the water. I climb up to this middle part, I bomb the wall and collect my first key. I take this path, which is the exit path after getting the long shot, to collect my second key. Back in the center of the temple, I use Din's Fire to get into the middle section. That way I can lower the water and take the path below to collect my third key. In the temple center, I climb up the ledge to play Zelda's Lullaby, raising the water. In this room, I use my hook shot to get across, and in the next, I just bypass the enemies and climb the wall. I use Din's Fire to take out the like and head into the Shadow Link fight. The fight goes well, as my boomerang can just stun him, and I can jump slash him. My reward for embarrassing Shadow Link is the long shot. To celebrate, I save and reload. I pull this block, then I remembered something. I'll need the bow to shoot this eye and move forward. I don't have the bow yet, so I take my leave. Despite being bowless, I head for Gerudo Fortress. The long shot allows me to cross easier and faster than I would climbing. I get the heart piece up here, and I sneak past this clearly blind guard and climb up this wall and jump into the desert. I cross the first part, and I follow the flags to this building that looks like it's some sort of outpost. So I know what you might be thinking. L, why are you heading into the desert when you don't have a bow or the lens of truth? Can you maybe climb or jump your way into the desert? Obviously not. But there is a path you can take if you feel you don't need the lens of truth. It did take me a few tries, but once you recognize where the bad spots are, you can avoid them. Enemies usually won't spawn out of bounds here, so typically where they are, you'll be safe. With some luck and patience, you can get to the Desert Colossus. I go inside and leave so I can learn the song to warp back here. It seems some walls I just can't climb, which annoyed me when I was trying to climb up this thing to get a heart piece and I realized I couldn't. I keep trying to climb walls but couldn't find any I could climb. Then I got lucky and discovered I could climb this wall section. I tried to get on top, especially to get a cool thumbnail for the video, but it wouldn't let me. I climb back up and drop onto the empty hand. If I pretend to go inside, it tricks the chest into dropping down. I open it up and the mirror shield is mine. I long shot across and grab the silver gauntlets while I'm out here. The cinematic plays, but no one really cares. I go back to the forest meadow, climb up the wall again and just jump across. I do stop by the fairy fountain again, then I climb this wall here and stick to it, as I want to see if I can get past this big enemy. I do get past him, I take him out, and I get some money for my efforts. Up ahead, Sheik is waiting to teach me another song. But then I climb up into the forest temple. I immediately climb the wall on my left, head up and collect my first key. I go north in the main room, as it leads to a fight against these skeletons, and the second key. In the main room, I head to the locked door. I climb up here and go through, head left, and in this room, I use Din's fire to take out the hand. And that's the third key I've collected for this temple. I head back a room and climb this wall to the top. I head down the twisted hallway and keep going until I get to this second skeleton fight. The boomerang makes this fight pretty simple, and the reward is the bow. In the next room, I shoot some paintings to make the first Poe appear, and after a few hits, she goes down and I get another key. I go back to the bow room, jump the chest, and in this room, I shoot some more paintings and fight another ghost. I untwist the twisty hallway so I can access the chest with the boss key. For the third Poe, I can climb this wall and drop onto the ledge. I shoot the painting, assemble these blocks, then I fight the Poe and I'm almost done. I do have to head back to the main room so I can fight the final Poe sister. She's done after a few hits, then I'm in the spinning hallway. When I first played this temple as a kid, I was a bit confused and it took me a little bit to beat it. In this spinning room section at the end, I've hated ever since. It feels like it's filler. It's not hard or anything, it's just time consuming and it's at the end of a temple that I felt was already tedious. Like all you do is spin the room, hit a switch, and repeat those steps 64 times. The Psycho Circus eventually ends, and it's time to fight the boss. Fight goes normal at first, just shoot him with a bow. Round 2 though, I just knock him to the ground with a boomerang. I make quick work of Phantom Ganon, and he gets sent to the rice fields, and I meet Saria in the afterlife, where she gives me a big green pog. Outside the corpse of the Deku tree, this sprout shows up. It assures me that no one cares about what happens to him as his fate is never explained, nor should it be. Back in the water temple, I use my bow, shoot the eye, and follow the path to a small key. I make my way into this giant room where I climb up the wall to this pathway here. I jump into the water and I find the small room with the boss key. I save and reset so I'm at the start, where I can climb up to raise the water. The game glitches out and I was so confused I passed out. Then I remembered I can climb up to the boss room ledge. Inside the hallway, I just climb up, avoiding the annoying floor enemies. And I do end up using the giant's knife again in the boss fight, just to make this annoying ass fight a bit easier. The boss is defeated, I get a heart container and a big blue pog. Sheik likes to hide on dead trees for fun. I head back to the Spear Temple, climb up the wall, and enter through the Mirror Shield side. I fight this Iron Knuckle, pretty easy stuff, and I make my way through the temple. I go up to the boss key room, I take out the enemies, shoot the eye, hit the switch, and get the boss key. Next, I'm in the section where I need to reflect lights from mirror to mirror. That's all done, I lower down, melt the statue face, and enter the last section. There's another Iron Knuckle fight, and these guys aren't as hard as they appear. The fight ends and a cutscene plays. I head into the boss room and start the first half of the fight. I reflect the different elements onto the other sister. Then they fuse like it's Dragon Ball. My giant's knife breaks during the boss fight, unfortunately, so I have to continue with just the Master Sword. The fight is won, the day is saved, the heart container is mine, and I'm done with the desert. Back in Kakariko Graveyard, I climb the wall leading into the Shadow Temple entrance. I use Din's Fire, and I'm inside. I make my way through, getting a bit lost here and there, but I make it to the mini-boss thing. We fight, and I beat it to get the hover boots. Wait a minute, I just got the hover boots, right? So I wonder how that will work with jumping. Well, I guess there's only one way to find out. Whoa. Hold on a second. Did he just jump super high? With the hover boots on, when I jump high. Well, that's good to know. Back at the beginning, I move this thing around until I open the path. I use my super jump to get me across. In the room with the first key, the jumping comes in handy to collect the rupees. In the hallway with the spiders, I can freeze them and jump over them. In the room with the next key, jumping makes getting up to the ledges so much easier. I follow the dungeon path until I get to this room. I have to blow up this skull and get the key. I try to jump in it, but I fail terribly. Then there's this hallway with these fans that's faster to get through by using the D-pad to switch boots. Then I need to find this invisible hole in the wall to climb into. Inside, I bomb this thing to open an invisible chest holding a key. Then I get stuck in midair during the zombie cutscene thing. I hop on the boat and defend myself against the jumping skeletons. I jump off and I head into the next area. In the first room, I use Din's Fire to destroy the wood here, allowing me to get the boss key. I skip the second room and I enter the third room. I use Din's Fire to kill the invisible hands. Then I grab the last key that I'll need. I head back out, blow up the base of the statue and cross. Time to fight the temple boss. This boss isn't as hard as people think. You don't even need the Lens of Truth. Just shoot between the hands and attack with your sword. Another boss, another heart container, and another pog. Back in Goron Ville, I replace my broken giant's knife. I head into Death Mountain Crater, where Sheik teaches me another song. Using my super jump, I can get onto this high ground and get a heart piece. Then it's Fire Temple time. I catch up with Darunia, then collect the first temple key. I spend some time freeing Gorons and collecting keys. And I collect 2 in this section. Further ahead in the dungeon, I can skip doing a majority of this room by climbing up here. I use a bomb to trigger this switch and I climb up the fence. In this big open area, there's a key down here and a second one up on this ledge. Then I bomb this floor to drop down and get a third key in this section. I can climb up to the area that you normally need the Scarecrow song for. Then there's a switch you need to hit to access this chest. I can climb this wall though and just be up there and the 200 rupees are mine. Then I decide to just drop down and see where I land. I go through the locked door and follow this path. I'm in another huge open section. I can climb this wall to avoid the fire and drop down in this area that's normally blocked off by a huge firewall. I fight this mini boss thing, and I head upstairs and end up in this part where I hit this switch. And you guessed it, climbed another wall to get up. Inside is the Megaton hammer, leaving just the boss key to get. I reset to start at the temple entrance, and I use the hammer to access this locked door. At the end of this section is a boss key. I exit out and head for the boss room. I forgot to drop the platform in this room to get across, but I can just use super jump instead. The Volvagia boss fight is another example of easy, but a bit time consuming. The fire dragon burns itself to death because logic. I collect its heart, and that's that. All the temples are beat. So next I save and restart to spawn at the Temple of Time. Cutscene plays, and you might have noticed I'm wearing white now. It's just to signify that Link has mastered Ultra Instinct. So I get the light arrow and Zelda gets taken by Ganondorf. So I head for the final part of the game, Ganon's castle. The Power Rangers build me a bridge and I enter. First room is the Shadow Sage. I realize I don't know how I'm going to get across here, so I try and climb on the wall. At a certain point I can't, and I just fall and die. I can long shot across to get to the torch though, then use the like to long shot across. I super jump and sword slash to reach the ledge, then do the same to land on the switch. I long shot onto the chest, open it up, and the golden gauntlets are mine. I take the invisible path, forgot I needed to hit the switch, so I super jump to the platform and long shot across. I free Impa, and that's the first sage done. Outside, I throw the block to enter the fairy fountain. I get the defense boost, then I try and climb around the fairy fountain. It looks funny, but it's boring, and after a while I leave. Back inside Ganon's castle, I climb up onto the bridge, but you can't exit. So I decide to head for the water sage. There is one part you need to move blocks around in, but I just climb up. I use the last blue fire I had and activate the switch. It lets me enter this room and free the water sage. Next is the fire sage, and being able to use the super jump makes getting around a whole lot easier. I couldn't jump back to safety from this platform, so I had to climb onto the wall to get back. I get the last silver rupee and climb the wall again. I free the fire sage, and that's 3 down. Next is the spirit sage, and the first room is another collect the silver rupees challenge. In the next room I climb the metal fence and head into the next area. There's a webbing here and Din's fire won't reach. I need the fire arrows, and it turns out I forgot to grab them. So I stop by Kakariko on my way to the fire arrows, and this cinematic plays. I get why it's playing. I did just beat the temple that triggers the cutscene, but this is old news. I already beat this boss. The reason I'm here is to win this minigame. In case I need it for the final boss, I wanted to upgrade my quiver to hold 40 arrows. I jump the fences and head into Lake Hylia. I came just in time as the sun was rising. I shoot an arrow and it turns into the fire arrows. I pick it up and need to make one last stop. I did the trade quest up to the point I could make blue potions. So let's pick up where we left off in Ganon's castle. I free the sage, leaving 2 left to save. Next up is a forest sage. I use the fire arrows again. In this room with the silver rupees, the D-pad comes in handy once again because I'm able to switch boots by just using left, down, and right. A few super jumps and hovers later and the sage is free. For the light sage, the super jump comes in handy for the silver rupees challenge. The last sage is free and the barrier is dispelled. On the way to Ganondorf, I have to fight a bunch of enemies, with 2 iron knuckles being last. Pretty fun stuff. The fight against Ganondorf himself goes pretty well, especially with the super jumps and stuff. He dies, and Zelda warns the castle is going to collapse. Zelda and I make our way down, and I had to fight some skeletons. Then it turns out Ganondorf is alive to, well, no one's surprise. Then he turns into Ganon. I used the Giant's Knife for a few hits until it breaks again, forcing me to use the hammer. I can't roll, so it's super funny watching Link just jump over Ganon. I do get the Master Sword back, and eventually he's worn down. To finish Ganon off, I used Link's Jump Thrust attack from Zelda 2. With Ganon defeated, the sages lock him away to deal with him in another game. Link is sent back, where he meets up with Zelda in the past, and the game ends. I gotta say, that was honestly a lot of fun. Knowing what I do now though, I would definitely grab the hover boots a lot earlier. I would get Din's Fire as soon as I could, climb into the Shadow Temple as young Link, then get the hover boots, and from that point on, for the rest of the game, I'll have super jumps, even as a kid. So that'd be really cool. And it makes me wonder if I could just beat all the bosses as Child Link. That'd be pretty cool. Subscribe so you don't miss what sort of crazy thing I do next. And if anyone knows of any cool Ocarina of Time mods or ROM hacks, let me know in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.